Okay, Mindy, your meeting is now live. I'm going to make Dwayne the co-host. Or excuse me, make him host.
Thank you, Ernest.
Okay, you're good to go.
I don't see the webcast link.
I'm putting that up right now.
Oh, yes, thank you. Okay. Olga, if you would put up your first and last names both for the open meeting.
I'm trying, Mindy, but I'm having a hard time. I will keep trying, okay?
Okay. Mary, are you the MG Adams? Okay, would you change it to your first name as well?
Yes, I'm trying to do that. I will. Thank you.
That's under the participants tab. If you pull that up and go to yourself and then hit the blue button for more, it'll let you change your screen name.
Thank you.
Hey, Mindy, I'm having a hard time showing my camera. For some reason, it's not showing my face. I can see it on my end, but I can't see it on there. So is it that imperative to see my face?
I need to change my name.
Yes, for if you're speaking, we need to be able to see your face. Let me see if I can turn it on for you.
Because I can see
you can right click on the top of your camera. If you can see it on there, you can just kind of scroll, hold the mouse over it, and these three dots will pop up. And you click on that and you can rename a lot of things under there.
Well, see, when I tried to join Zoom, it didn't give me a video option. It just said audio only. But yet I'm looking at my camera right now on my end on my machine. So that's why it was just weird. Because I since the last meeting, I got a new machine, a new camera, a new laptop. So that's what I'm using it with. And I've had videos before, but I don't know why it's not working. So.
Okay, I've been able to go in and write the full names if they were missing.
James, I'm unable to turn on your camera from my end.
Well, until I guess, do you mean to leave the meeting and try to come back with it on? Because otherwise I'm probably going to have to leave the meeting because I mean, I can clearly see you, but I just, for some reason, I can't get the camera. I mean, I can clearly see my picture on my end with my camera, but when I try to join, because it doesn't give me an audio and video option when I join with Zoom. It just says audio only. So.
Yeah, I don't know. That's local, and I don't know how to tell you to fix that.
Okay. Well, let me try to log back in again one more time here. Let me see.
Okay.
If you're still there, just Google it, and it has some instructions about restarting your computer, or if it's assigned to a Mac app or something, you need to do other steps.
There we go. We're good. See me now? There I am.
Yes.
All right.
Xiao Zhang from the Office of Job Corps, who is going to be working on performance stuff. We'll be hearing from him along with contractors that he's working with, Julie Grossman. And you'll be hearing from Andy Kyle, also from the Office of Job Corps, and Carrie Kirkpatrick from Human.
Does someone else have another web going? So that if they can mute that, please. Dwayne, do we have more?
Yes, we do.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning,
Dwayne,
Joyce.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Dwayne, if you could put up the agenda, please. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Coordinating Board's Workforce Course Manual Advisory Committee Today is September 23rd. The meeting, this committee will start at 10:05. Dwayne, would you go ahead and make the proper notifications to the committee members as well as those who are listening to this live?
Okay, good morning. I'd just like to remind you that this meeting is being broadcast live and recorded. When you need to speak, please remember to state your name. And when you're not speaking, remember to keep yourself muted. Try to keep all background noise to a minimum because it tends to pick up and it tends to focus on wherever the noise is coming from. Our votes will be taken by roll call. And to remember that chat is disabled. So if we need to, if anyone viewing needs to send in a question, you can send it to WECM at highered.texas.gov. Be sure to use gallery or speaker view and have your cameras on at all times. And be sure to raise your hand. You have the option to raise your hand if you need to speak. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Joyce.
With that, we will go ahead and start our agenda. I am Joyce Williams, Associate Vice Chancellor for Workforce and Community Programs at Dallas College, and currently the chair of the WECM Advisory Committee. And I'm going to ask the committee members to introduce themselves, and I will start with the ones that I could, as I see them on the camera. And so we will start with Andrew.
I'm Andrew Gregory, and I work at College at the Mainland.
Troy.
Hi, good morning. Troy DeFreitas, Department Chair for Welding Technology at Austin Community College.
James.
James Chigwin, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Department Chair at Tarrant County College Southeast Campus.
Okay, now I've lost him. Okay, and Robin.
Rob Blair, Dean of Technical Education, South Plains College.
Robin. You're on mute. You're on, okay.
There we go. Robin Garrett, Deputy Chancellor, Academic and Student Success, Central Texas College.
Leslie.
Leslie Keeling Olson, Director of Perkins Grants and Professor of Criminal Justice at Temple College, representing TACTI as the TACTI President.
Cindy.
Good morning, everyone. Cindy Griffith, Vice President for Instruction with Alvin Community College.
Rhonda.
Good morning, Rhonda Dozier with Texarkana College. I'm Program Coordinator for Cosmetology.
Joe.
Good morning. My name is Joe Arrington. I serve as Division Chair for Human Services and Education Programs at McLennan Community College, Waco.
Sarah.
Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm Sarah Lozano, and I'm the Dean for the Division of Business, Public Safety, and Technology at South Texas College.
Philip.
Good morning, everyone. Phil Nicotera, Houston Community College, President of Coleman College.
Linda.
Morning. My name is Linda Head, and I serve as the Senior Associate Vice Chancellor for External and Employer Relations at Lone Star College.
Cynthia.
I'm Cynthia Asperis, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Angelina College.
Dixon.
Excuse me, Dixon Bailey, Executive Vice President, Ranger College.
Dwayne Shaw.
Good morning. Good morning. It's yes, Dwayne Shaw, the Dean of Public Services and Industrial Technologies at Kilgore College.
Mary.
Good morning, Mary Adams at Texas State Technical College.
Kevin?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Kevin Morris, Dean of Business and Technology at San Jacinto College, South Campus.
Olga?
Olga Valerio, El Paso Community College, Dean to the Advanced Technology Center.
Thera?
Sarah Celestine, I'm the Director of Community and Workforce Education at Lamar State College.
Vernon?
Vernon Hawkins, Associate Vice President for Workforce and Continuing Education at Dallas College, the Brookhaven campus, and I'm representing TACE as the past president.
Okay, I'll hand it over to coordinating board staff. Mindy, if you want to introduce the team, or you can, of course, allow them to do their introduction.
Good morning. Mindy Nobles, Assistant Director Workforce, Academic Quality and Workforce at the Coordinating Board. I will let Dwayne, who staffs WECM AC, and our guests, Kyla Torrey and Sherry Rannis, introduce themselves. Dwayne, go ahead.
Dwayne Hiller from Workforce Division of Academic Quality and Workforce. And again, I work with the WECM and Perkins and GIPWE and other duties as assigned.
And Sherry?
Sherry Rannis, I'm a program director with the Academic Quality and Workforce Division's Workforce team.
And Kyla?
I'm Kyla Torrey. I'm a program director in Academic Quality and Workforce as well.
Thank you, Kyla and Sherry. I want to acknowledge that we have Ernest Jaquez and Valerie Carrera present in the background, helping to facilitate this meeting. They are the reasons this meeting will take place successfully today. So I acknowledge their presence as well. Okay, thank you, Joyce.
Okay. All right, looks like we have a full agenda today, guys. So we're gonna try to stay on track, and sometimes that gets a little bit impossible for us, but we will do our best, keeping in mind that impossibilities are something that we always hope to accomplish, but we do keep in mind that we are working on behalf of the state of Texas, so we take all considerations carefully and dutifully. So I'm not gonna rush us through it, but I just wanna let you know we do have a full agenda. So looking at agenda item 2, consideration and approval for the minutes for July 2020 meeting. All of you should have gotten a copy of the July minutes. And so I'm going to ask for approval of those minutes as presented. Olga, I see your hand as making a motion for approval. May I have a second, please? Okay, Troy, I see your hand. Now, Mindy, will we need a verbal approval, or their hand raising their hand is enough? Dwayne?
Since we have a visual, I think the rules were made for a conference call, but since we have a visual, we just need a show of hands.
Okay, so we have Olga, who made the original motion, Troy, who seconded it. So are there any discussion? Is there any discussion? Okay. All right, so we're going to move to a vote. All of those who are in favor of accepting the minutes as presented and read, please signify by saying aye or raising of the hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Okay. Any nays? Okay, hearing none, minutes have been approved as read. Dwayne, do we have anyone that has presented a public testimony on any of the agenda items as presented?
No, we don't.
No public comments. Okay, moving on to agenda item 4, which is a coordinating board update. So I'm handing this over to Mindy and Dwayne for coordinating board updates.
Thank you, Joyce. I'll begin by asking our meeting guests today, first Kyla Torrey and then Sherry Rannis, to present Kyla will give us an update on the Open Education Resources Repository, OERTX. Kyla?
Hi, everybody. So at your last meeting, I believe I gave sort of a brief update about where we were, and we have since launched OERTX. So I'm going to talk about it a bit and then give you a little demo of the site. So, yes. Thank you. Okay, so I'm also going to give some updates about GEER funds that are going to go towards OER, just because it's related to the OERTX site. So, as I believe we talked about last time, House Bill 3652 of the 86th Texas Legislature mandated that we create a state repository for open educational resources. Rather than trying to build this ourselves, we contracted with the Institute for the Study of Knowledge Management and Education, who are the creators of OER Commons, which is a large international OER repository. And we developed a Texas repository for OER. So a separate independent site that is for Texas OER, and we've called it OERTX. And it was launched September 1st of this year. Well, we started with materials from OER Commons that were most used in Texas, with a focus on Texas core curriculum courses, lower division courses, to sort of get the biggest bang for our buck, because they're high enrollment courses and they transfer and all of that. And then materials developed with the OER state grants that started in 2018 will be available through the website as well. And we're working on expanding the types of materials that are available there, which I'll talk about in a minute. Let me give a quick show of the site. Here it is. If you want to visit it, it's oertx.highered.texas.gov. If you're familiar with OER Commons, you can see that the structure is very similar. There are a number of ways that you can search. You can type in what you're looking for. You can search by subject area. You can search by education level. And you can search by course inventory. You can see the academic course guide manual is in there now. There is metadata within the site that will link to WECM as well. And once there are courses or course materials in here that are tagged with WECM, a particular WECM course, WECM will show up here as an option to search. You can also search for materials in collections. So we have a few collections in here already. Some of them are subject-based, where you can learn about OER basics and how to use OER. Some of them are institutional-based. So the University of Texas at Austin had a number of mostly language learning resources that we've collected into their collection. University of Texas at Arlington has some resources, and then OpenStax, of course, out of Rice University has a number of OER resources. The site is also organized into hubs and groups. So a hub is like a little site within the site, basically. You can see Alamo Colleges has one as an example, and it is sort of their own site within OERTX where they can create collections of their own, where the materials in here are searchable from the main site, but they're also organized under the Alamo Hub such that they are sort of most useful to the Alamo faculty when they're looking for resources to use. There are also groups, which I'll show in a minute on the main site, but there are groups within the hub so that faculty or whoever joins from Alamo College can have discussions, collaborate in creating resources and that sort of thing. There are also groups within the main site, and the site is open, so anyone is welcome to create an account up here with an email address. And once you create an account, you can download resources, save resources, that sort of thing, and also create groups. So we have some groups created for our 2018 and 2020 OER grantees. But if you wanted to create a group, you could, as the group administrator, decide who can join it. And then within the group, you can have discussions, you can create folders of resources, you can collaborate with your colleagues and collecting resources, creating resources, and having discussions. So it's sort of the social media aspect of the site. There's also ways to add OER. So there are two ways to add resources. One is that you can submit a link from the web. So if you have an existing OER repository that's not behind a password wall, you're welcome to submit, add the link, add some metadata to describe it so that it's searchable within the site, and then publish. There's also an open author tool where you can create resources, add images, add content, upload resources in a variety of ways, and then add instructor notes about how to best teach this content. And you can do multiple sections. So if you wanted to do a section for each chapter of a book or something like that, that's a possibility. I guess that's the basics of the OERTX website. I don't know if there are any questions about that before I move on to talking a little bit about other OER related work.
I have a question. I was trying to raise my hand, but I couldn't find the thing to raise my hand. But Kyla, I wanted to ask a question. On this front page, you said the educational level in the course inventories that WECM would show up once there are subjects that cover courses that may be in the WECM. But what I saw on Alamo's site was transportation technology, manufacturing technology. So I would think those would be WECM course content. But the educational and course inventory is not showing up on this front page. So is it because Alamo is behind a certain wall that they're not tying into this level, or?
No, it's simply because those courses haven't yet been tagged to a particular course within the WECM. So it's just a work in progress right now. But the Alamo Hub was part of the OER Commons main site, and we transferred it over to be our first example hub here. And so we'll have to tag those resources to particular WECM courses moving forward.
Right, because I would want someone who's looking at this to understand, if they're looking at WECM, that they could go on there and they could see and pull down and they would see the WECM course. So that's what they would be looking at. Because again, as you were saying, it would be great for those faculty that are teaching WECM content to be able to have access to this information, especially now with everything online. And also with the fact that in January, some of our colleges will still be teaching courses online.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is good timing in terms of launching the site. You know, there's a variety of digital resources here, including like how to teach online. And they're all free and open, and you're able to adapt them to your course. So yes, moving forward, we'll be adding more content to the site. We're working with institutions and sort of a slow build out to add OER that's already been successfully used by faculty. And also we'll of course add the grantee resources as those come in. And then I'll talk about the GEER funds in a minute and the resources that'll be added that way. Other questions about the site itself before I move on? Okay. So there are a number of ways that you can become part of the OERTX community. You can, of course, use the OER that's there. You can suggest collections for us to add to the site. It is possible to include this within your LMS such that you can search the site from your LMS. If you're interested in that, feel free to email me and we can talk about how to do that. You can create OER by designing modules or uploading links or applying for grants, which I'll talk about in a minute. And you can collaborate by creating groups, suggesting a hub maybe for your institution, or joining webinars, which we will be having shortly to sort of demo the site and talk about how to use the resources within it. Let me talk about GEER funds as they're related to OER a little bit, and the OERTX site. So the Governor Abbott announced an investment of $175 million of the governor's emergency education relief funds to higher education. And a portion of these funds that are coming to the coordinating board will be used for online learning support. We think that's very important given everything, I mean, just in general, but certainly given the current state of things. So those funds for online learning support will be used to create a digital learning clearinghouse, which will be sort of best practices and resources for online teaching. And then also for OER course grants and technical assistance grants. So all of these projects, there are 4 projects within those 2 categories, and these projects were approved by the board at a September special called meeting. And we're at the coordinating board, we're in the initial phases of implementation design. Within the digital learning clearinghouse, there will be a request for offer to solicit bids to create and upkeep this website of effective online teaching practices and resources for Texas faculty. So we will engage with representatives of Texas institutions in order to design the specifications of this website, and then go out for bids for someone to actually build it. So this is well in the future, but this is a project that we're working on. And then the request for applications within that project will be to award matching grants to digital learning and student success centers so that the website can be populated with resources and best practices for faculty as far as online teaching goes. So those are the 2 projects within the digital learning clearinghouse. And then within the OER grants, there are 2 separate RFAs. One is for course development and implementation grants. These are very similar to the state grants that we have been doing since 2018. So there was a round of those in 2018, and there's a round that is about to be announced for 2020. And these are very similar to that in that they are for developing new or redesigning OER for Texas core curriculum courses. We're also adding to this co-requisite courses and workforce courses within the WECM in high value fields. So those will be a focus of this next round of OER grants, course grants. And then along with that, there's going to be a request for offer for a technical assistance grant program for organizations that have a demonstrated capability to work with institutions as technical assistance partners. So then they can help more effectively design and scale OER work at the institutions, including what's going to be done with the course grants. So those RFAs should be released as soon as possible, shortly. Here's the website for the OERTX repository, and this is my email if you have any questions, want to know any more information, are interested in having the site demoed at your institution or another organization you're part of, feel free to email me and we can set that up. And any other questions? Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, Kyla. Sherry Rannis, I will turn it over to you to talk about the Texas Reskilling Support Fund.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Along with the dollars that are going to be utilized from GEER for OER, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board is going to put dollars into a particular fund called the Texas Reskilling Support Fund and create a grant program of $46.5 million to support displaced Texas workers who need to reskill or upskill to move quickly back into the workforce, and to support Texas students who previously stopped out of higher education institutions without completing a post-secondary credential. The focus of this program is on tuition and fees coverage, last dollar awards for students pursuing credentials in high value fields. The work on this, similar to what Kyla has suggested, it's still being determined, but in the process of thinking through and designing how this grant opportunity is going to be designed, we did extensive interviews with leadership in community colleges, technical colleges, and universities across Texas, as well as with Texas employers. And Dr. Head was one of the many people we interviewed. So thank you, Dr. Head, for your contribution to that conversation. I can tell you at this point that this grant opportunity, which will hopefully be launched in the next month or so, will be open to all public 2-year and 4-year institutions and technical colleges in Texas. The funds will be for the exclusive use of tuition and fees coverage for students, and will need to be deployed as rapidly as possible by grantee institutions to students. Again, these are emergency dollars. Urgency is important. The dollars are going to be, the priority is for these dollars to support students who are pursuing credentials in high value fields within 12 months of receiving a credential and or newly re-enrolled after stopping out. And additional eligibility and selection criteria are still being developed. So a little bit of information about this, a heads up and a flag. Not a lot of details yet, but they will be forthcoming. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
I have a quick question, Sherry. It's Dixon Bailey.
Hi, Dixon.
How you doing? Can these funds, would they, and I know you're probably creating the RFA process, but can they be used for continuing education that ends in an industry recognized certification?
Wonderful questions. One of the elements we're considering.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you yet.
I would vote yes for that, because if we want to get them rapidly into the workforce, that cert, it's a little easier to get them to the CE process, in my opinion.
Sure. Thank you for that.
I just want to say thank you. And I'm not a Dr. Head, but thank you for that. That was the easiest doctorate anyone ever got. Our chancellor's a Dr. Head. But appreciate the thoughtfulness you're giving to career programs, workforce programs, and the trying to get people back. We all know there's money in different places for students. It's just such a cumbersome process. And with COVID-19, it's even more so. So thank you.
Are there other questions or comments for Sherry?
Sherry, I do have a question, and maybe I missed it. Will the funds be available for occupational skills awards as well?
I'm not clear who asked that question, but thank you for it. We're still making a determination about the scope of credentials that will be included in this RFA. So I don't have an answer for you yet, but
thank you.
That is something we've heard loud and clear from the field that is definitely a need.
Great, thank you.
And are there other questions?
One more, Mindy. Sherry Dixon Bailey again. And tell me again when you think the RFA would be out.
We're aspirationally thinking mid-October.
Thank you.
But it could be a little bit later than that.
Okay, then. Thank you, Sherry. And this is Mindy Nobles again. I will move on to the next part of the next part of coordinating board updates. To give the Perkins update, I'm going to be very brief with what I have to say so that I can give others time to talk about the WECM project we will be supporting with state leadership funds in this coming year. I will tell you that we are in the process right now of giving expedited review and approval to the 54 colleges' basic Perkins applications for FY21. Applications were due August 31st, the day before the program year began on September 1st. Colleges were able to fund, or rather budget for pre-award costs so that they could operate until we're able to get NOGAs out to each college. NOGAs are under development and will be ready to be routed upon approval of applications. Perkins staff have worked long and hard and extensively and beyond normal working hours to get these reviewed. And we hope to have NOGAs to you well in time for you to begin expending funds beyond your pre-award funds. And with that said, and if there are no questions about Perkins in general, so I'll call for any questions first. Okay, with that brief announcement, I'd like to turn this part of the update over to Leslie Keeling Olson, who represents TACTI as TACTI president on this committee, and to Catherine O'Brien, a guest to the committee today, so that they can talk about the WECM project that will be undertaken this year with Perkins State Leadership Funds. I'm going to introduce Catherine, who is known to most or all of you as a longtime steward of WECM. Catherine served on the WECM Leadership Committee that was the antecedent to the Coordinating Board's WECM Advisory Committee, and was chair-elect the year that the transition to Agency Advisory Committee began. Catherine is the retired Associate Vice Chancellor for Learning and Assessment at San Jacinto College. Dr. O'Brien is an acknowledged failure at retirement. She is currently teaching as an adjunct at University of Houston Clear Lake in anatomy and physiology. She is the offsite coordinator for Alvin College and is assisting Alvin College with the development of an articulation agreement in, is it electrical engineering? Forgive me.
No,
Okay.
it's an AS in engineering. Yes.
AS engineering, thank you, with University of Houston Clear Lake. And she is also going to undertake this year to assist Leslie Keeling Olson of Temple College with the WECM Leadership Grant that they will now discuss for you. And I will turn it over to Leslie and to Catherine.
Is Leslie still here? She had a meeting she was going to have to dive out to. They're in the midst of SACs. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your time today. Leslie is the primary investigator on the Perkins Leadership Grant and has asked me to serve as a consultant on that grant. And it's a 2-year grant for which we're grateful, because that gives us plenty of time to analyze and look at all the pieces of the WECM protocols and how the process is working right now. And our 3 goals for this quarter include a data analysis of the WECM courses to determine priority instructional areas. Are there some areas that, because we had kind of eliminated the chronological review of WECM courses, there are some that kind of have fallen by the wayside that really need to be revised and updated. Second goal is an analysis. I know some of you that whose faces I see here today had served as WECM facilitators, and we had some facilitators in training, we call them FITs, in the pipeline before we moved to the transition. So there is a survey. You may have already seen it and responded to you, and if you had, thank you very much. The survey is trying to find out who out there has been a facilitator before, and if they're not currently active, among, let's see, the survey went out to you, WECM Advisory Committee, it went out to the TACTI board, it went out to directors and contacts of Perkins basic grants, and it went out to directors and contacts of Perkins leadership grants. I tried to eliminate duplications, but if you got hit with 2 surveys, ignore one of them. You're fine if I already have your information from one of the other surveys. And we're in the midst of collecting the data from those surveys right now. Then the third goal for this quarter is to meet, coordinate, and collaborate with WECM Advisory Committee, THECB, and WECM stakeholders on the WECM facilitator training. And so the reason we have already gone and sent out the surveys to see who is a facilitator is we also have to get training set up for everyone. And right now it doesn't look like there's going to be a TACTI, TACE kinds of meetings either this fall or maybe even in the spring. So we're going to have to design a way to do the facilitation online or through Zoom. The other thing we're going to look at is the process itself in the protocols and where that needs to perhaps be shored up and altered any in order to get some of those courses that people are asking for a little bit more current. So that is a very quick update on what we're working on with this particular grant. So any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
No questions, Catherine, just a comment. I am sure those of us that are on the WECM Advisory Committee, I'm sure they join me in saying thank you for filling a retirement. It's great to that someone who is working on behalf of the state on WECM and updating courses and being able to respond to the state has experience with the WECM, has experience with TACTI, has experience with career and technical education, also with non-credit programs. I would also ask that that you work very closely with our sitting protocol expert who has also has expertise in updating the protocols as you work with the coordinating board. Dr. Robin Garrett has been our sitting expert for a number of years when it comes to WECM protocols. So as you are wanting clarification or needing clarity or suggesting any changes with that you work directly with her and Dwayne on those. And again, as I think as Mindy has insisted that the coordinating board is always kept informed, not just her as the Perkins project person, but also as the coordinating board liaison. So
thank you.
And we certainly appreciate you being a part of the WECM leadership grant, Perkins leadership grant on behalf of WECM.
Thank you, Joyce.
Mindy, I think you have one more item, the GIPWE revision.
Yes, Joyce, thanks. And I'm going to add, this is kind of a catch-all category. I'm going to talk about 3 items here, 2 in addition to GIPWE. I will announce with GIPWE that we're going to undertake a long overdue update of the GIPWE this year, guidelines for instructional programs in workforce education. We will be soliciting field input in the month of October as a first step in that. So anticipate our outreach to you and others in the 2-year college field. Second, I'm going to talk about the block scheduling rules. That's chapter 9, subchapter M of coordinating board rules. We were asked recently by Dr. Williams, as it happens, if we would continue to enforce those rules during the pandemic, given the extent to which colleges have modified instruction. On investigation, I got a bit of a surprise, discovered that the statute that drove creation of the rules has been repealed. It was a 2016 statute, 84th legislature. The 85th legislature did not renew the statute, which expired after the coordinating board submitted a report on block scheduling. It was scheduled to expire in August of 2019. The legislature did allow it to expire. We will be posting notice to the CTE FAQs on the coronavirus update page. We will likely be disseminating the information in other ways. We will be seeking to repeal the rules. Until then, colleges do have a waiver. We will not enforce those rules. So the 5 required block scheduling program rule is null and void. And then second, or rather third, finally, I will let Dwayne please respond to a question, and I'm going to have to ask patience. It was a member of this committee who asked about coding of hybrid courses during the pandemic. Who was that? Was it you, Cindy? Yes, okay, Cindy Griffith.
Yes, it was.
We did inquire about that, and we can provide some guidance on that. Dwayne, I'll let you have that. And from there, I'll just in advance thank all of you for your time in this update. Thank those of you who presented as guests to the committee. And Dwayne, and then we'll give it back to you, Joyce.
Okay, what we heard from Julie Eklund, our director of, I'm not going to remember, SBF. She's saying, we know unusual things are happening this year, and she did not see any issues if you report a hybrid course that doesn't exactly fit the 50% guideline, I guess you could say. So there are really no, I guess, detrimental effects if you go ahead and report those as hybrid, even though they're less than 50% based on contact hours. She said they will be sending out a survey to ask colleges what they did for online learning during the COVID pandemic, and that'll give us more detail over just the regular definitions. And we are working on putting something on the FAQ to address this issue. And as soon as that gets drafted and put up there, drafted and approved, we'll put it up on the CDE COVID-19 FAQ page. So gets back to addressing your concerns about whether reporting a course as hybrid, if it's less than 50%, because the lab hours take up more than half of the course, then apparently there are no repercussions if you report it as hybrid.
Dwayne, just for clarity, Cindy, and will you just kind of unpack the question so that for the audience is clear of what the question was and submitted, and then Dwayne has gotten a ruling on, so that everyone is very clear, not just the committee itself, but those in the listening audience that are hearing us?
Yes, okay. Thank you, Joyce. I'm sorry, Dwayne, just as a quick summary of my email to Dwayne asking this question, it had to do with our technical courses that are high lab hours, low lecture. And while we were doing them in what we think of as a hybrid format, they weren't really meeting the spirit of the definition provided to us for a hybrid course. And so we just wanted to be sure if we were coding them as hybrid, that we were not going to be penalized, even though they weren't meeting the true definition.
Right, and to clarify, the definition in the reporting manual is that if less than 50% of the course is online, it's considered face-to-face. If it's between, or if it's like over, and I can't remember exactly the number, but it's like 80%, then it's considered online. And if it's between 50% and 80%, then it's considered hybrid. And like I said, the issue came up because if you have a course that's 2 lecture and 3 lab, and all of the lecture hours, which is the main part of the course, is all taught online, but the lab hours are taught face-to-face because they're the skills lab, then by definition, that's a face-to-face course, even though the lecture is entirely online. So, with that issue and with the COVID-19, we're kind of relaxing the rules of saying that if and I don't know how you quantify it, but if it's the main part of the course that's being taught online, then you can report it as hybrid. And willing to take any questions.
Are there questions before we turn the meeting back over to Joyce to move on to the next agenda item? Okay, very good. Joyce?
And real quick, just before, when we're doing introductions, just got a text that Tom Cox had come in late, and so he didn't get to introduce himself. So I'd like to give him his opportunity now to introduce himself, what college you work at, and what your role, what your position is.
Good morning, I'm Tom Cox. I'm the chair of languages at San Antonio College, and I was having tech issues this morning. Sorry for being late.
Okay, like I said, glad to have you here.
Yeah, welcome, Tom. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda, we are on agenda 5, professional organization updates, TASTE, TACTI, and TACRO. So why don't we go with, is Denny on the phone, Dwayne? Was she going to join us?
No.
Okay, can you
No,
give an
and actually
update?
I got an email.
Yeah, can you just go ahead and give
Okay.
an update on behalf of Denny Yarborough, please?
Okay, so we got an email from Denny saying her position is, with her increasing responsibilities, she's finding it more and more difficult to come to these meetings. She also mentioned, and it kind of surprised me, but I guess looking back over the records, that she's been our representative for like 5 years. And in normal circumstances, like with TASTE and TACTI, the representative will rotate off every 1 or 2 years. So I let her know that, we don't expect her to be, the permanent TACRO representative, but we did ask the president of TACRO if he could recommend or nominate another person to serve in that position. I'm still waiting to hear back from him, but hopefully at the next meeting we'll have a TACRO representative present.
Okay. Vernon, representing TASTE.
Vernon Hawkins. Just wanted to say that TASTE is, actually we're meeting this afternoon, the board is, and we are proceeding forward with our main event of the year, which is the conference. We're going to hope that by April, things will have cleared up somewhat. So we're going to go ahead and plan. We'll make a decision probably later on as we get closer as to what we're going to do. We're also putting some of our trainings that we were going to offer. We're creating those to be online and actually going to offer some free training. And one of the first one we're going to do relates to the special topic and local need. And one of the things that I found out as we go through and evaluate those, which is that evidently not all colleges understand what local need is and what special topics are, because we have the same colleges doing those over and over again. So what we're working on now is putting together a free online training that we can put out so that people can learn a little bit more about it, because we'd like to see more people submit comments related to special topic or specifically to local need, which they're not doing. It's the same 5 or 6 colleges every time that we do that. But that's just one of those things. So tell your staff to be looking for those online trainings within the next 60 days. And we'll do a couple, and hopefully we'll be able to do the conference this year. And if we do, we already have our speakers lined up. We have Courtney Clark, who's from Austin, and her topic is going to be Detour. A timely topic, detour when life doesn't go according to plan. And she's going to be our opening speaker. And then Jan McInnes, who's a comedian with a background in education, she's going to be talking about finding funny in change. So a lot of us are going through change, and I think we'll need that. So that's just kind of an update. This year, in the spring, I'll probably talk a little bit about our elections that are coming up, because this will be the year that I'll fall off as past president and somebody will be in this role next year. And we'll talk a little bit more about that the next time we meet. But that's kind of the TASE updates.
Okay. Dwayne, since Leslie has not returned, you want to give us an update on taxi, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. And basically, TACTI also is having our board meeting. It's going to occur in November. We are also, much like TASE, anticipating and very much hopeful that we'll be able to have a conference in April as well. So we'll be looking forward to and continuing to work on that. And that's really the only updates that she had at this point.
So we're moving on to agenda item 6, discussion and consideration of recommendations made by the WECM Protocol Subcommittee. Chair Robin Garrett.
Yes. Good morning again, everyone. If you'll recall, at our last meeting, we discussed a concern about the creating of rubrics outside of a TACRO approval and the need to bring in TACRO into the mix when institutions submit new rubrics through the local need or special topics process. And I made a recommendation, which y'all voted on and approved, to modify the protocols. And in the process of us discussing that, I think we had some people request that we do a flow chart, bulleted list, kind of a flow of how it would look, this process would look, so that institutions would be, and we would stay on track as far as what the process was to get a new rubric reviewed to ensure that it met TACRO requirements, as well as the fact that make sure that it didn't already, classes didn't already exist, courses didn't already exist in the WECM, a rubric didn't already exist, etc. So based on our discussion, this is the bulleted list and the flow chart that I came up with the help of Joyce Williams, Mindy Nobles, and the two Dwaynes, Hiller and Shaw. And we'll call them the Dwaynes, right? But anyway, and this, of course, is a draft, and I would appreciate feedback on it. A little bit of programming logic went into the flow chart, so if it's not as clear, please let me know, and I will clarify that in greater detail and break it out further if necessary. But I probably should have brought this up when we were approving the minutes. In the minutes, it had just one statement as far as modifying the protocols, but there were a few other bulleted items added to that protocol. So I'll get that to Dwayne, and we may need to make note of it, because in the protocol we added that it went through, just like in this bulleted list, the subcommittee as well as over to TACRO. But the statement in the minutes did say that it was just a basic generalized statement about if a new rubric is requested, it could take up to 45 days. So I think we need to just take a look at that and maybe modify, get record of the modification of the protocol. Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Are there any
questions? That's all.
Yeah. Did I see someone's hand? Are there any questions? Okay, you want to get all of your questions answered, because there are people on this call that are probably part of your institution is going to be asking you, can they just get a new rubric? Okay, all right. With that, yes? Did I hear something else? Did I hear someone? Okay. Okay, with that, we're moving on to, thank you, Robin, for working on that. And thank you, Dwayne, the two Dwaynes, Wayne Shaw, and also Dwayne Hiller. Dwayne, at this point in time, is it on the agenda? Is it a place to talk about, since this protocol was actually triggered based on a workshop, or you want to wait until we get down to the workshop part? Well, what's your preference?
Could you say that again?
Okay, since the new protocol, the amended protocol, revision within the protocol was triggered based on a recent workshop, would you rather discuss that at this point, which is item 7, because we have to have an approval. There's an action item based on the workshop recommendation that ties into the revision of the current protocol that Robin just discussed, or would you rather have that at another time in this agenda? It's part of the agenda. I see it as part of agenda 7.
Okay, so the workshop results.
Yes, the workshop results. It kind of ties into the trigger of the revision and clarity that was made for that particular protocol of requesting a new rubric.
If you'd like to discuss it as 7, let's go ahead and do it that way, Joyce, as long as we get both sets of business covered.
Right, because it's an action item. Okay, so discussion and consideration of recommendations made by the course review workshop subcommittee. I'd like to also then discuss the results of the workshop. And thank you so much, Dwayne Shaw, for stepping in and being a facilitator of that modified workshop that needed to occur. So either way you want to take the recommendations, Dwayne Hiller, but we also need an action item. There are a couple of action items on number 7. So
Okay,
Dwayne Hiller, I'll let you take this with the help of Dwayne Shaw.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start on the initial workshop. We reviewed the horology HRGY courses and made some changes to it's listed here as objectives, but they're the end of course outcomes. And Robin Garrett was facilitator for that meeting, and we went through the and these are courses taught at Paris Junior College and not at Austin Community College, since those are 2 colleges that were involved. And so we went through Paris Junior College's recommendations for updates to the descriptions and outcomes. And that's what we have on this page. Again, these are not changing any rubric or numbers. They're just changing the descriptions and outcomes for these courses. And I'll go ahead and go through them just to get a record of them online.
So Dwayne, these are not the ones these are the horology courses that will remain in the WECM, and they are suggesting just revision of the descriptions and the objectives, but not the course hours and contact hours.
No,
correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and these are the courses that will be taught, continue to be taught at both Austin and Paris?
Well, these particular ones are only taught at Paris, but Austin Community College was saying that if they ever have a watchmaking program, that they would start using them.
Okay. So are you asking for us to approve these changes to be made, to go into, to reflect the revisions in the WECM? Are you asking, you bringing these for the committee to approve these as changes from the
Right.
workshop? Okay, all right. So can I get a motion to approve the coordinating board's presentation based on the recommendation from the instructional specialist for the workshop?
Madam Chair, I'm
Yes.
taking it the question is for a motion reflecting these particular courses only. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
I would
Only the
so-
horology courses.
Then I would so move. Joe Arrington from McLennan Community College.
Second,
here-
this is Mary
okay,
Adams.
Thank you. It's been moved and second that we accept the revisions to the current horology courses to the WECM on behalf of Paris Community College, which is the only community college that are teaching these particular courses, in a workshop that was facilitated and held, sponsored through the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Are there any discussions? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to call for a vote on this particular item. All those in favor of accepting these as accepting these revisions as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay. Are there any abstentions? Are there any nays? Okay, with that, motion passes. Dwayne, please continue.
Okay, the second workshop we had in, it was a couple of weeks later, it was August 28th. And that's, sorry. And that was in two sections. The first was the gemology courses that are part of the jewelry making. And this is the case where we are recommending a change in zip code and rubric. So since this hasn't gone through TACRO yet, it probably is not ready for a vote by the committee. But this is just, I guess, for information. And you have these also in the handouts that I emailed to you.
Mm-hmm. So this is a proposed
So the first,
rubric.
right. So these courses are currently under the HRGY rubric. And then they've been proposed that they be moved to a new zip code and then a new rubric.
So may I ask a question?
Mhm.
Has the TACRO representative verified that JRLY is an available rubric yet? Or is that still we still have to do that process now that the protocol is in place?
Right.
And Dwayne Shaw or Dwayne Hiller, was there any discussion on the impact, the decision impact on the horology courses if we are removing those courses out of the horology program and replacing those into a new rubric?
Right. And again, we had representatives from both Austin Community College and Paris Junior College who both teach these courses, and they were both agreeing that this would be a better representation since the jewelry making is as they put it at the workshop, you can have the watch repair and the jewelry maker behind the same counter, but they each have different roles, and there's no overlap between if you're doing watch repair or if you're doing the jewelry repair.
And committee, this is Mindy Nobles. I might add that this split of jewelry making and watch repair is further supported by the addition of jewelry making SIP to the new 2026.
And I just want to make sure, because as we work on behalf of the state and colleges and of community colleges across the state, that there was a discussion of decision impact and that this would not have any loss of contact hour for either of the institutions that actually teach the program, any issues with faculty load, any repercussions of that. And since you were saying that both institutions were represented there, and again, with the fact that this is not an evolving industry, it is a current industry in both markets, and that neither of the industry would actually suffer because of this change. And all of those discussions were had at the workshop. Then my question has been answered.
Okay.
Dwayne, I have a question. This is James Chigwin. I have a question. Why does it have to specifically say diamonds? Why doesn't it just say fundamentals of gemology? And what happens in the future that something says, well, I want to have a fundamentals in gemology, but not necessarily in diamonds. Now, again, I'm ignorant in that, but why does it have to be specifically geared toward diamonds and, colored stones and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure how that got initiated, but I think they were trying to make it more descriptive than just introductory or intermediate gemology.
Well,
some of the later.
Well, no, my only concern would be is I just don't want them to come back and say, okay, scroll back up to that first thing. Well, we have introduction to, that thing. And now it's not diamonds. And now someone might try to put in a WECM like they do in computer science and IT. Oh, I don't see my thing. And I'm going to put another, I don't know if it will happen in gymnology, but, something like that. Oh, I'm going to put another WECM request for a special topic and something very similar. But if they can just, maybe the wording, I don't know. I would just out of curiosity.
This is Olga.
Right, next, I'm not sure the.
Go ahead.
I was just saying I wasn't sure about how these are the original course titles, and I'm not sure how they decided those two particular, separating diamonds and gemstones, colored gemstones. But I know as we were going through the descriptions, there are a lot of things that we normally would not encourage them to include. Like in this description, it'll say demonstrate use of appropriate instruments to identify treatments. Normally in course review workshops, we avoid using words like appropriate, correct, and things like that. But in this case, these are actually terms that are used in the industry, and they have specific meaning rather than just correct or as one of the instructional specialists was saying, you can use correct instruments, but you can use them incorrectly, or you can use them in the wrong situation. So it's very, a lot of the terminology they used in these courses was very specific to the industry. And so apparently there's some distinction between if you're working with diamonds or if you're working with gemstones, it's a totally different skill set. So, for this reason, I guess we can look into it further. But for this reason, we allowed them to use certain terminology that we don't normally use in course titles or end of course outcomes.
This is Olga from El Paso Community College. I know a little bit about jewelry, but you use the same instruments with diamonds and with another stones. The only difference is the hardness to the diamond. According to the Scala de Mons, is the number 10, the hardest, And then, however, what I'm wondering is the same to James. because reviewing the special topics with the one that we have been reviewing, you know, many people request special topics because they don't have this word, or because when they said apply non-destructive testing to detect color causing elements, but this is not only one destructive testing. Maybe we should just say apply non-destructive, the different non-destructive testing or whatever is applied, because then, I mean, we have been reviewing a lot, electrical, a lot, IT courses, petrochemical production. I mean, they are exactly the same. However, there's only one word to change it, or they're asking only for a software to be applied. I think so we need to be more general and focus on the fundamentals. That way that we can give it to the people in the future, a window to apply for what they are looking. Because if not, we are going to finish like we are right now with many special topics. I mean, yes, requesting because I'm using the Aruba software. Now I'm using this software. I mean, but it's the same. And that's one of the big problems I can see it. I think so we have to be, when we are approving this kind of the programs or proposal, we need to check also not only the rubric, because in this case, they are changing rubric, course description, and outcomes. I mean, what happened in another community college wants to use it. I mean, we cannot approve just like that, because to community colleges has to be a little bit more about research and how it's going to affect in the community college they are offering these courses. I mean, I'm okay with the rubric, but we have to be very careful with the course description and the outcomes. That's my worry.
Well, thank you. I think I started our first meeting off with a suggestion that was made to us by the coordinating board staff, because the WECM started years ago with us looking at the opportunity to reduce the number of course duplications and content duplications in the WECM as we designed it, as it was being built. And it looks like we're slowly creeping up to almost where we were when we started this process. So one of our goals as a committee this year was to ensure that we would limit the number of duplications of content and try to do that as we started to implement WECM workshops. So I'm glad that Catherine, Dr. O'Brien is on the call, is hearing that our objective is to try to ensure that there are limited duplications on content. Again, as we are not the content specialists, so when workshop information comes in from the field, but I do think in all good and due diligence, as one of our goals and our priority goal, is to make sure that we're preventing things that could occur. So I think Dwayne has presented a great argument here that maybe this industry has some difference between what is a gemstone, you know, not a particular gemstone, but a diamond. And maybe Olga has come back and said, well, yeah, that is the case, but not always. So Dwayne, if you would just get a clarification, because as James says, that many of our schools do look for an opportunity that it says diamonds, but I'm really going to be operating on emeralds, or I'm going to be operating on another gemstone. So because it says diamonds, I can't use that course. And therefore I'll submit a special topics. And we don't want that to keep occurring. So if you would just get a clarification whether the terminology diamonds need to be used there in the course title, or can it be indicated somewhere else in the course description and or the course outcome as an example, but does it have to be in the course title?
Okay.
Joyce,
yes.
I have a question. This is Andrew Gregory. I had pulled up the the course inventory for horology. And just looking at this and looking at the two handouts we got today on watchmaking and gemology, there's not all courses are represented in those two handouts that are in the course inventory. And I just, as sort of a double check, if we could just verify that the remaining courses that are not in these two handouts will remain in the watchmaking curriculum.
Great, Andrew, that's a
sorry,
great clarification.
Yeah,
Dwayne?
I guess I didn't mention there is a third handout. And it probably includes all of those other courses. But so this is the jewelry making, or the actual jewelry courses. And so these are the, I guess, the other courses that you were talking about. And again, these, again, aside from the rubric, zip code and rubric, and the description and outcomes were changed for these courses also. But again, they'll have to go to the TACRO committee for verification of the new rubric.
Okay, that sounds great. And then I guess going back to the diamond issue, I guess if you could take it out of the title, that would be great, because the course descriptions do sort of clearly indicate that the course that is about diamonds. And I guess from James's point, I think that, you know, again, this is not my field, so I'm fairly ignorant. It just seems like grading diamonds and diamond is the market share of jewelry. So it is sort of the foundational course that anyone going into that field would need. So it is sort of a foundation course that could be identified just to be diamonds.
Yeah, this is James. Yeah, I wouldn't be, you know, going back and looking at your arguments, I don't think it would be a big a deal on this jewelry making, because as it was stated by my colleagues, you know, maybe that's that, but I think that it's more of a broader issue going forward for other things. So maybe not necessarily these, but for broader issues for other courses. That's what I was more concerned about. That's why I mentioned it.
Okay, Dwayne, thank you for this information and moving forward. Other items under this, under number 7 for discussion of review of course workshop recommendations.
No, that's all I have.
Okay. All right. So we are now on item number 8. Discussion and consideration made by the Welcome Core Comments Review Subcommittee. That would be Rob.
Hello, everyone. Since the July 30th meeting, the coordinating board reported that there were no WECM comments for the September 23rd meeting. So at this point, no WECM comments, but hopefully we'll have some for the next.
Okay. All right. Well, we're moving on to item number 9. Let me ask at this point in time, do we need to take a break or keep moving? Okay, with that, we will keep moving. Item number 9, discussion and consideration of recommendations made by the Special Topic and Local Needs Course Review Subcommittees. Dwayne, I know that you've shared this with both of the subcommittee chairs, so I will let you and the subcommittee chairs lead this discussion, please.
Okay, we want to start with the credit.
Okay, for the credit, we submitted all the last special topics that they were sending to us last week. They were like around 60 maybe. And then one from the last week, it was 10 courses. um, we were really impressed, and then we make our recommendations. We noticed that the courses, some they are focusing in the special software. They want requesting a special topic because they want is to be teaching in a special software. And that one was one of the problems that we have it. And that one was in IT. They want to be, is in red doing. They want it to be specific in the vendor. And I think if we keep requesting a special topic because it's the vendor, then we are going to have requesting many special topics all the time. I think so we need to rewrite a little bit the outcomes from the courses from the WECM. That way that we can have a window and then we can create it more and more and more courses. That's why we saw it. And also I noticed we have many old courses that they are not updated for what is needed right now in technology. I think so we have to review also these courses. We say, okay, but courses needs to be identified. And at the same time that one was from IT. For the rest of the courses, I noticed one of the big problems again, if the college doesn't find the word they are looking, then they create a special topic. And even if the fundamentals are already there. And they focus only in the discipline when they have, for example, another discipline in robotics that they can provide to them what they are looking. I noticed with this chain of the COVID-19 or this chaining era when everything is robotics, I think so we need to upgrade it. That courses, they are too old, the techniques they are not using anymore. And I'm talking about graphic and design, and I'm talking about machining, all these kind of courses we need to revisit because people is using a different machines. People is using new techniques. Now they are using more automation. And this is not reflecting in our outcome, in our WECM courses. That's what we found it. And I don't know, especially in the Aruba switching fundamentals, this is a company. We didn't say yes or no because we wanted to present it to you. We wanted to discuss all together what we should to do it because they are wanting to teach based in the software.
Can I say something further,
Yes.
Olga?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, you know, we've had this discussion before, guys, and and I know for the cloud and that notice there's a cloud plus, and I saw this and I said, oh, wait a minute, we just got done fixing the cloud. Now there's cloud plus.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is these technologies, and it's good for these community colleges. I'm not against it. It's a good thing. We just can't keep up because they want these new courses and on fast and fast and fast. And they're getting very vendor specific. We see it with Cisco and, we got the Microsoft. So I think what was brought up, and I don't remember who it was in a previous meeting, is to have an IT specific thing just to go through and gut these and look at them rather than having just an individual thing. Because one of my concerns is again, like Olga said, we're getting, these things you see here, some of these are very vendor specific. Now you have Cloud Plus, that's going to open up another, potentially round, maybe not necessarily a new rubric, new thing, but IMTW. And if you look at the current ITNW and the ITMT, they're already a mess. I mean, it's already a mess. There's a lot of old, outdated technologies out there. We need to do something, and it needs to be done because, and we're not here to dictate, to tell these community colleges, hey, you must do that. But when you start teaching old technologies, and we've got to do something instead and keep those old technologies, maybe group them together into one. There's just got to be some other kind of solution here. We've done the right thing in terms of we're now approving these courses in faster and faster. But again, it's my concern, and especially in IT, that we're just growing and growing and growing and growing and growing. And if we're trying to stay to the mantra from what we started 3 years ago or whatever, is to try to limit the courses And I know it works because, Robin was there with me that day and we did some good cloud computing stuff that day. I just think we need to, in the IT field, especially a couple of these rubrics, to really, really go through these and clean these out. Thank you.
Hi, I'm back. I'm sorry. I needed a break. I've comment to that because I know about the work that Collin County has led for a couple of years with NSF. And both the first year was statewide IT employer groups, and the second and third years were national. And the woman that leads it is well respected in the industry. She's worked at Nobel for, I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 years. Ann Beheeler. And at any rate, to me, IT is different. IT is dependent on industry certification. And I'm sure all of us have been invited for numerous RFPs to quickly train industry professionals. And the reason they ask us is because, unlike the university systems, we change with the industry. We add industry certification wherever we can. We use the WECM for both credit and non-credit. People are job ready. They're not generalists. They're not computer science generalists. They are very specific and are prepared to sit for these industry exams. I think these in IT, it's important to, and the colleges that don't want to offer the certification specifics don't have to.
And I don't think so that's the problem, Linda. I think so we can have these kind of certifications, but we need to say, for example, this class is going to be addressing this certification 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the college wants to have this industry certification. That's okay, because it's going to be a plus for the students. I understand that one. But instead to be created one specific topic from this certification, from certification 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then we are going to have maybe 7 or 5 special topics. I think so this is the problem. Maybe in the outcomes, we can say this course, it can be for this kind of certification, also embedded this kind of certifications. And then the college can decide what kind of certification they wanted to use. I mean, it's not only IT, it's all the technical programs that have the same situation. I mean, and this is going to let me to jump to another situation that we found. We found that many technical programs, they wanted to have, by the end of the program, they wanted to have a similar kind of co-op. They wanted the students practice with the real problems. I think so one of the key words for technical programs is to be practicing the real problems. I don't understand in another community, if a community college is teaching not with the real problems. That one is a problem for me, because we should to learn to the students to be practiced in a real problems that actually is happening. It could be IT, it could be diesel, automobile, it could be robotics, it could be, I mean, all this kind of stuff. I have a problem when by the end to the program, I have like maybe 5 community colleges, 5 rubrics or 6 rubrics that we have to review for special topics. They asking the same. Some people they call seminar, and other people they call business plan or whatever it is, but they said we wanted to oversee if the students can capture all the theory that they learn through the program. This is a co-op, and this is an internship. I was looking in these programs, they have an associate degree or they have a certification of completion. My surprise was an associate or associate applied science degree. And then I said, well, and then they were asking to interview skills, how to write a resume and all this kind of stuff. And I think so when the students go to the co-op, we as a community college, we should to have a department or somebody to teach them how to write resume, interview skill techniques. But just to put it in these programs, I don't know it is appropriate. to develop a class called seminar to say that we wanted to teach the students writing skills, interview skills, how to dressing up. I call that one career fair, you know, we should to have a department in that area. And I don't know what I said. I said no approve it because I think so we should to have something else. They're asking for a seminar more or less how to interview. And then so one credit. It's kind of, I don't know. But I wanted to
make a comment. It seems like I make this comment at every meeting that we have.
And state your name, please.
Oh, sorry, Rhonda Dozier. It seems like I make the same comment, so we'll go back every meeting and find it. But when we started this process, the whole idea was to reduce the number of courses that were out there to make it so much simpler. And I had a call from a college employee from NTCC, I guess NCTC. And same thing, they were trying to get new courses and they knew that I was on this thing. And so they called and I explained how you can add to the course outcomes. You have to meet those minimum objectives and cover those descriptions, what's in the description. But you at the local level can add anything you want to if it's college, local need specific, industry specific, whatever. But we keep having this same conversation every time. And I don't think, how are we not getting the word out to those who keep submitting these courses that you can change the description. You don't have to change the title. You can change the description. I just don't understand how we are not communicating that.
And possibly that is probably, again, something that this committee, for those of us who have not on this committee, have not been engaged into WECM workshops, conducted in or facilitated WECM workshops, probably would be a great opportunity for you to participate in those workshops as an opportunity, not as a learning opportunity as well. Because when you see the local needs here for Aruba, software, all of those other things that could be added, it does not take away from the certification or the ability for a student to be able to sit for that particular certification or vendor specific certification because the title is not listed in the course. It is really about the content. And so it does not take away from that because I do not think the certification requires that you actually take a course that says Aruba switching. I think it requires that you actually pass the exam.
Yeah.
So I think as we look at this, the other thing I want to also be able to highlight is a number of these courses that are on here have new rubrics that are not in the existing, is not in the WECM. And we've talked about colleges proposing new rubrics and why. Because we're not in the process of growing rubrics and all the process that we have to go through. So I'd like for us to, Dwayne, to work with your subcommittees to highlight these local needs from the colleges that are submitting new rubrics as well.
Right, and I actually separated out the courses that were submitted for new rubrics. And so if we want to go through that.
Well, can I just follow up with something? This is James. And just to follow up what Linda said, Linda, there's nothing wrong adding new technology courses. But if you look at there's nothing wrong. I get what you're saying. For vendor specific things, my concern is that overall, the overall means is we're going to keep going and going and going and going and going. And then the community colleges are not going to update their courses to reflect that. And I was looking at that Roomba, they're fine. I mean, that's why I said I put yes, it's on there. But if they notice, one of those things are just emerging technologies, wireless technologies, and emerging wireless technologies. Why 2 courses? Why? You can have it in one course, do what Rhonda says, and everyone's happy as far as I'm concerned, unless it's a specific thing for the stuff. So again, I'm not opposed to, like you said, I understand where they're getting these things. I understand that they're because they want the vendor specifics, and it's good for these colleges to be emergent for that. I mean, all these things I'm seeing, data mining, wow, I'm like, wow, they're doing it. It's just, how can we do it instead of incrementing WECM in a better, more efficient way? That's why I'm saying we need to start cleaning up the previous things and, you know, that kind of stuff. That's all.
So are we going to get rid of Cisco CCNA 1, 2, 3, 4 and just call it networking again like we did 25 years ago?
I have a problem with that, but
I think, Linda, actually, to clarify, as of the last meeting, Cisco is actually getting rid of Cisco 1, 2, and that. And actually, they're getting rid of it. We haven't gotten rid of it out of WECM. And so your answer, yes, but we won't be calling it networking. We will get rid of the old, antiquated certification information.
Which we should be doing. I agree with you.
WECM. And so that's what James is saying.
Yeah.
He's not
But we
saying
still have a Cisco specific, our courses.
you're going to still have that, but you also are going to have an opportunity for rural areas who want to teach that without being vendor specific, but also teach the content that can prepare students if they wanted to go and sit for a Cisco exam, but they are not using exactly the Cisco material, because there are people out there who actually study and go and take the and take the exam. So you're going to also have it for the smaller colleges that may not be able to afford to be able to be vendor specific. And I think
we used to have a general.
You will have both. You will still have both, Linda. You will still have general courses for Cisco, just like we have now, which will be updated when Cisco is updated, and you will also have Cisco. So I think that's based on what's driven by the industry. And I think that's what they're saying. But they're also saying is that we can't keep piling on and never go back and take out. And we
I agree. I totally agree with that.
We need to take the whole picture. We need to take it comprehensively as we're putting on, then what needs to actually be taken off.
Yeah, this is James again here real quick. And Dwayne, on the Cisco, the one you have down here where it says scroll down like CCNP and data center, you know, didn't you say we're going to have a Cisco group meeting? And that's why I put their check for Cisco group, because again, I think what's happening here is these colleges, okay, we know there's these Cisco changes coming up, but I think these have to do with those advanced Cisco certificates. And I thought that's why I recommended check for Cisco group, because they're the ones, you know, that I didn't want to approve these, because you're going to have that Cisco group that probably should address those that are the more appropriate thing. So that's why on those courses, I said check with Cisco group. So I guess to follow up that question, if let the Cisco group look at those to see if those are actually appropriate.
Can I please interject? At the Cisco workshop or the networking workshop, they were supposed to come back when Cisco did those additional courses and give us feedback. And I have not heard anything. Dwayne Hiller, have you heard anything back on that? Maybe we need to follow up with that team on those additional courses.
Yeah, we do have on our agenda or on our docket there to reconvene that group to get those advanced courses reviewed.
Okay.
And see, that's what I think these are. This is James. These are these CCNP and stuff. Those would be the advanced courses. And so I would be not willing at this time to approve these until that Cisco group meets and looked at them. So thank you.
Madam Chairman. Hi, folks.
Yes, Joe.
Thank you. I think I've been listening and confession up front, I'm not a computer person, but let me ask 3 quick questions. Okay, first, when I look at these courses, I'm caught with this question. How much of these courses as prescribed are that tight and specific, and how many of them include general stuff building up to the specifics? It seems like If there's general stuff that builds up to the specifics, that could be that base content general course. And if you needed something on top of it, I get that. But I don't know what the mix of this is. Second question. I looked at the hours on these. All of them are pretty much single hour things. I mean, it's 16 hours or 80 hours or 96. The idea that if something needed to be added or deleted, we're sort of hamstrung if we approve a single hour kind of course. That's why in the WECM, when we have value hours, there's ranges to things. So folks could theoretically insert some stuff and have space and it still fits. The single hour model, with my first question, how much of this is general and how much of it is really specific? Those two play off of each other. Last question I've got, though, shifting entirely, is the issue of speed. This came up very early in the conversation, the idea of how quickly can we get people somewhere. If it turns out that providing a course or a set of brief courses gets somebody from 0 to certification, that has real appeal to it. Versus, oh, by the way, we've got to move through this general set of stuff and then add this stuff on top of it. So there's a trade-off to be had here. And again, since I'm not a computer person, I don't know where those trade-off points are. Okay, there, I'm done.
Okay,
Madam Chair, this is Dwayne Shaw.
sure.
Just very quickly, and maybe, yeah, we're talking about local needs courses here. We're not authorizing courses that are going into the WECM. We're authorizing courses that a specific college can use for their specific local needs. What we're really supposed to be doing here is looking at, are these courses already in the WECM? Yes, they are. They should use this. Are these courses not in the WECM and they need to continue to use those as local needs? Then continue to use them as local needs. If they eventually come to the point where they're a trigger, then we worry about things like Joe's concerns with our ranges and the way they're written and some of those other issues that there are problems with the courses potentially. But I think what we really need to look at on these spreadsheets right now is mainly, are they legitimately local needs? And we're saying, yes, they're okay for these colleges to use them for local needs. I mean, I know there's a lot of really great discussion, but at the same time, I don't know if that's, we're kind of going down a lot of different trails here on trying to fix a more global problem, which I'm hoping that this WECM Perkins leadership grant is going to help us do a lot of the things that have been discussed. But I think, just kind of getting back on to these, we're really just voting, yes, they need to use these courses, or there's a better course in the WECM to use.
And let me answer to you, Wayne. This is Olga Valerio. Yes, we were doing that one. Yes, it's approved, but at the same time, in the comments, we're writing the comments why they have to be alert, but they have to look in the future. I mean, because what? Because if we found another course that is similar, say, no, this is not local need, you can use this course. We give it to them, the course, the rubric, the number, everything. And then if the class is missing for hours, we said, yes, you can use it. However, we put it in our notes. We write in our notes. This needs to be greater, like maybe 80 hours, the different range in hours. We give it to them that one, that way in the future, if they wanted to see what happened with these courses, they can have a reference, like, okay, well, we have 500, 1,000, 4,000 local needs from community college. Then they can see what's happening, but I understand, and this is why it's very, very serious, this work, because it's not only, we don't look only, yes, approve or don't approve it. We go to the degree programs from every single community college to see if we're not affecting them, to see if they are already teaching their class, the class that we are proposing. And then we have to read it, everything, the outcomes. And I think so one of the big problems is that people from community college, they don't know, they need a training. They need to take a WECM course training, how to develop. I can see it's a big need from all the community college. That one is going to help us to target the problem that we have it. They needed to take a workshop in developing WECM courses. I can see it's a big problem. And I'm talking about coordinators or chairmen from the areas, the way that they know why they have to look, because they don't know. You can see it, they don't know, they don't know. Maybe we know because we're in the committee, but they don't know. And then I think so this has to have an immediately attention to the community college, to give to them a welcome workshop to the community college, to the people is involved. They can start first of all with coordinators or whatever it is, because then we are going to have every month 60 special topics, 100, 200, and that's not the idea, because then you're going to be finished with an amazing amount of special topics or local needs.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would like to propose that we look specifically at the very short list, the new list that includes just 8 courses that I think is very clear. And I would make a motion that we approve those 8 courses. And then we can move on to the larger spreadsheet and discuss things.
And let me tell you, Andrew, why we approved this one. But I noticed these courses, they are required in a rubric. They want a rubric, a new rubric.
We can't approve those courses, Andrew, because they haven't gone through the process of research. Their due diligence, like we did with the jury rubric, we need to be able to do that.
Okay, so our action
so our action on this, our action item on this is, there are 2 things. We're challenged with 2 things. There are 2 things that we committed to as a priority of this committee. 1, we would try to limit duplication. 2, we would try to make sure that we were being very responsive to the field. Dwayne Shaw has clarified what our role is when it comes to looking at local needs, of whether or not doing our due diligence to ensure that there's no duplication, that if a course that is being proposed as a local need is not currently in the WECM, do we have a concern with it, with the colleges going on and moving on it as a local need? They, knowing that they have approval for it for 2 years, unless it comes up on the rotation of the WECM workshop where it is implemented into the WECM. And at that point in time, as he said, a lot of this discussion. Then you have Olga's group subcommittee that is looking at not only whether it should be a local need, but whether or not the due diligence is it a course that is doing replication and expanding the WECM? So I think as you are trying to point out, Andrew, we're looking at 2 different things. One is clearly focused on our action item here today of whether or not we need to go ahead and approve these as local needs, not the ones that are requesting new rubrics. And Dwayne, I'm not sure about that rubric ITCA. Is that a rubric that already exists in the WECM? ITCA on line number 21 of the spreadsheet?
Yeah, I need to double check that.
Yes, please, because I don't remember seeing an ITCA. But we need to only look at those that are local needs, that we're recommending for local needs, that we allow the colleges to go ahead and offer those as local needs so that we can move forward with that agenda action item that we've committed to allow colleges to go ahead so that they can do what they need to do. As they are then approved and reviewed and come up for the WECM workshops, then the expanded discussion and the notes and the recommendations from Olga and James's committee will then have a full discussion as part of the workshop. And I think that's what you were trying to get to, Andrew. I think that's what Joe was trying to get to. I think that's what Dwayne was actually proposing to move us forward.
Okay, so the new rubrics are passed on to someone else to review, correct? So we don't need, do we need to vote on that?
No, we're not going to vote on that. Because the new rubric has to go through the protocol process prior to. The only vote we have is on the long list of local needs, and based on the review from the subcommittee that they have made, these are courses that do not currently, as they are now, do not currently exist in the WECM. However, they did put some concerns there as part of their comment that if these are going to move to the WECM, there is a concern, and I think that's what Rhonda discussed, that's what Olga discussed, that's what James discussed. There would be a concern to moving these to the WECM database as WECM courses prior to us cleaning up the WECM on the IT side. But as of right now, they do not have any objections other than the Cisco courses, other than the current Cisco courses that are being proposed, that we actually go back to the Cisco committee that was formed for them to actually recommend whether or not these are the local needs that should move on. But any courses that are outside of the ITCC courses that are listed on this list, that is our action item. I think.
The
Am I
ITCA too, right? Not Ann, I'm sorry, Joyce, because you said that's not, you don't know if that's right, so we can't really act on that one either.
Right, anything that's part of Cisco, so.
ITCA is not an existing rubric.
That's what I
trying
thought.
to get at, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
So any courses outside of Cisco would be what we're voting on to approve as local needs that could be moved forward that are considered new rubrics.
Madam Chair, this is Leslie Olson.
Yes, Leslie.
I do want to make sure that we go down further on the spreadsheet because there are some that have WECM courses that do need to be notified to use that WECM course.
Okay, where are you? Okay. Well, oh, like the 1345, the first, yes. Any courses, again, our charge is if there are true local need courses that are currently not being proposed, that are not courses that have been identified, that are not existing courses in the WECM, outside of the Cisco or in the new rubrics that are being proposed, that is our vote.
So we're just voting to allow them to use this as these topics as local needs topics as they go to committee?
We're voting to allow the colleges to use these as local need courses for their campus only. Once these courses are then these courses will be then reviewed. Once they become local needs, they are then reviewed and submitted to the WECM project, leadership project, to then go forward to be reviewed to be introduced into the WECM. And that's when this full embodied discussion that we just had for the last 25 minutes will occur again.
And then the second part, Joyce, will be that is it a vote or a comment, or where's it go about that the Cisco courses need to go to the Cisco workshop group?
That's already been said. If we're gonna
said by whom, shouldn't we at least all agree on that?
I think we did, Linda. We agreed that because of the last workshop that the Cisco group had, that they were going to come back and make the recommendations for the Cisco.
But we didn't take a vote on that. I mean, I'm comfortable taking a vote on
that was an agreement at the last workshop, at the last meeting that we had.
Oh, so so then I just want to make sure I understand. So,
okay, so
then Dwayne will officially respond to these colleges saying the Cisco courses should not have been submitted. They should have been submitted to the workshop committee first. Or
the workshop committee review all Cisco classes, and we're going to come.
Right. So that'll come from the coordinator.
That was the last decision by this WECM leadership of advisory committee. And we were waiting on that, and Dwayne was going to follow up. Yes, Robin.
Madam Chair, the protocols state that all of these local needs, when a workshop is going to happen, they are reviewed anyway. So there's no vote on whether or not they need to be reviewed. They will get move forward to the workshop when we have a workshop regardless. The issue is that doesn't mean they're going to become a course. You know,
Right.
The protocols say that there has to be more than one institution requesting it. It has to be needed statewide, things like that to get it to become a true course. But there's no need for this group, this advisory committee, to vote to move something to a workshop. Now, it could be a trigger that we say, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of colleges asking about a certain type of program, certain type of industry, that we would then recommend a workshop happen. But as Dwayne said earlier, this is just an individual college submission so that they can get funding for a course.
Yeah, true. Again, this action item is only to vote for those courses, for us to approve the local needs that were submitted by the colleges that are not currently existing as duplicate courses that are in the WECM. And that since the ITCC courses rubrics had a previous workshop by instructional specialists from around the state that came together to review Cisco, they were going to update those. And so we already had that in place. So where we are now is that, since, again, as you stated, the protocol states that once we approve these as local needs for the colleges, they will automatically go into the process of a review for the WECM, and then this other part of the discussion that we've just had will happen. But currently, the only action item that we're looking at is we're not considering anything that was submitted that has a new rubric that does not exist in the WECM. So we're not considering that. We're not considering the Cisco classes. We're not considering any local needs that already have WECM courses that are in the WECM. So we're only considering those courses that are legitimate local needs for the colleges to go ahead and respond to industry as quickly as possible.
Joyce?
Yes.
I guess what we're really considering.
If I can ask a quick question. Do all, and I don't know this, do all local needs courses submitted by a college, do all local needs have to be approved by this committee to be a local needs course just for that college for that semester to be funded before it goes to a committee for review to be in the WECM?
Usually that is the process, because that is what the coordinating board usually does. And we are now taking on helping the coordinating board review those local needs and get those local needs approved. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Is it possible for us to, I've gone through the list and highlighted the things that are excluded from the list just for my own sanity. Is it possible for us to say which ID numbers are excluded from being approved?
Well, if you want to share your course, go ahead, Dwayne.
I think I want to clarify that what we're voting on, or what we're recommending, is approval of the recommendations of the subcommittee. Now, the subcommittee made some recommendations to approve, some recommendations not to approve, and some recommendations to make further information. But what we're voting on is we accept all of these recommendations. And so in that case, it would be we would be approving the entire spreadsheet as presented with the recommendations
and it would include the exclusions that Andrew has stated and the ones that I've stated. So yes, so it would include that. So for clarification, for Linda, the committee has recommended that this will be going to the Cisco committee, the ITC C will be going to the Cisco committee as discussed from the last meeting. And that's part of their recommendation. As Leslie has pointed out, there are courses that are currently in the WECM that this committee has shown and recommended, because those courses are in the WECM, that the local needs not be approved as submitted because courses are in the WECM on those. This committee has recommended that the vendor-specific courses that are there that says, okay, vendor-specific with a question mark, Olga and James, I am taking that that okay means yes. And vendor, you were questioning, was it vendor specific or not? So what's highlighted in red, you
Yeah,
still
those are okay. Yeah, those are fine. Like I said,
Okay.
if we're doing that, then that's fine. But I did have that question about vendor specific later on. Yes.
Okay. So I'm just going over all of the recommendations so we are clear as we take this as one vote.
Joyce, one more question. If it says no in WECM as the recommendation, what does that mean?
That means the course already exists in WECM. So no, that course is not going to be a special topics or a local needs.
And what they're saying is that course is already in WECM.
Yes.
Let me add a little bit more to it. And I think we're beating this to death, but like I know in the topic that the college I work for submitted, that topic is not in WECM because we really did look. And that's why we submitted to local needs. So is there further explanation to where that is in WECM?
Yeah, can you tell us which course you're talking about, Dixon?
Yeah, unmanned aircraft systems pilot.
What number it is, Dixon?
Let me go back to
It's 46.
Yeah, 48 on my spreadsheet, 35,990.
Oh yeah, was approved because it's not in WECM. You don't have anything in WECM related with the outcomes and anything. This is what is approved. You notice
it says already in WECM.
There's no in WECM. Then this is what is approved. You notice it has a check mark in the letter H to say approved. No WECM, no in WECM, no in WECM. This is what they were approved. Because that's
so it's saying that it's already a special topics in WECM.
Because you don't have anything related in WECM.
All right, so no in WECM means it's not in WECM.
Yes.
Thank you, that's what I needed.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other clarifications that need to be made for the spreadsheet?
This is Andrew Gregory. I think if we could develop some nomenclature that we just use clear language like approve, disapprove, that would clarify life a lot.
Gregory, it is already. If you go to the top to your page, you're going to say validate, not validate. When they say validate, the mean you can offer, and not validate, the mean is like it's not proven. You haven't the top.
I think, Olga, that's exactly what he's saying. If we all agree that approve means approve to be a local need, and disapprove means disapprove not a local need. So that we're not using those different terms. So if it's validated or valid or non-validate, then we know what that means. So when you and Dwayne, as sub-chair, when you all put this together, just be able to tell us what are you validating? Or, I mean, was it a valid course or not valid course? And that's the reason we did that. But there's nothing that says you want us to approve it as a local need or not approve it as a local need. And I think that's the clarification we want to make so that it'll be easier for us to move through these type of recommendations.
So this is Andrew Gregory again. On line 46, for example, it says validate is checked, but then the note says already in WECM in special topics. So I don't know that we need to, we're not approving a special topics for that course because it already exists. Again, like on line 8, it says not valid, and it says new cert is the note, and I don't understand that because why is it? It's not in the existing WECM, but it's a new certification. Why is it not valid?
Oh, that one is my mistake. That one is my mistake. Yeah, that one is a
And then
mistake.
and then the following 3 down from that, nothing is checked in the boxes.
I just
So
think some of those we just didn't check. They're fine. I just put new cert and just saying they're that they would be fine to approve.
Right, but do you understand what he's saying? Because in some you were not consistent, and so you're asking us to bring something, but then you tell us it should and shouldn't. So we need to have, if you're gonna have us to approve something that you're presenting, it needs to be consistent, and using the term approved and disapproved as a recommendation would be better for us, so we'll know what your wishes are.
Okay.
And if there could be consistency, please.
So if we want to just modify this, if we're going to use the valid check mark and the invalid check mark, we're modifying the existing spreadsheet to have line number 7 checked as valid, line number 8 checked as valid, line number 9 checked as valid, line number 10 checked as valid, line number 11 checked as valid.
Joyce.
What we can do, Andrew, is just to put in, that way that everybody can see it validate. We are going to say validate in the comments. We are going to say validate if we have a suggestion, and then we can say that one. And then comments is comment, but we are said validate comments. That way that it can be more specific.
If every line has a box checked, I think that's clear enough, but there's some missing boxes.
I got it.
And so it's like line number 54, that really should be validate, I believe. So if we could just, if Dwayne Hiller could just modify the spreadsheet, and it's all on the screen and we can all see it, and then we can approve it.
The chair recognizes Dixon Bailey.
If there's not an immediacy to this, could I recommend to table this until the spreadsheet has been updated with approved, not approved, and more definition and the reasons for, and then to be approved at the next session?
Because we only meet on a quarterly basis, I'm a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
Because that means 3 months out. And some of these are, I guess they won't start until spring. That's what I'm thinking, unless some of them are special topics and have already been submitted.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask Mindy and Dwayne for the protocol here. If we agree to have these corrections done, can we take an electronic vote, Mindy and Dwayne, on this particular one, since we've actually had about 30 minutes of discussion?
You mean a vote subsequent to this meeting?
Yes. Or do we have a public vote?
No, we can't do that unless we can post the electronic vote publicly, and I don't believe the agency has a mechanism for doing that.
Okay.
We will either need to clarify and vote on a clarified understanding of this spreadsheet during this meeting, or we will need to table it.
Okay. Can the spreadsheet be resent to all of us so we can see it? Print it, look at it. I mean, it's very difficult.
Linda, why don't we make this motion? Why don't we make a motion to approve the spreadsheet contingent on, so that we can move this forward, so we don't have to wait to the next quarter to actually approve these? Because as I understand, most of the colleges, if they are doing local needs, they're going to want to have to set these up prior to, in the next couple of months, prior to us meeting. So why don't we have a motion form contingent on the corrections as cited by this committee that need to be made, that will be sent out to the committee for review, that we make a motion to approve as presented based on these 3 things. So if someone could, yes, you willing to make that motion?
Well, actually, I had a question, please.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but earlier in the conversation, I believe it was disclosed that ITCA is not an existing rubric right now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Please note that on the line item that has the ITCA course, the Fundamentals of Disaster Recovery and Business Community, has valid checked. If it's not an existing rubric, could that be a valid check?
Because we were.
It's not, it's an error. And that's why we're saying that these corrections need to be made. And so I need a motion that is contingent on making sure that this spreadsheet is looked at and reviewed and corrections are made.
Yeah, and to clarify with Joe, again, I have the master spreadsheet here. I have moved that course to the other spreadsheet, which we're not considering now.
Okay, good.
That course is not being considered in this motion.
All right, good.
Okay, and if this motion is going to be made in this form, approved contingent, the contingencies need to be stated succinctly and explicitly.
Yes, that's what I meant.
And let me,
I can attempt to do that. This is Andrew Gregory. I make a motion that we approved the spreadsheet with corrections indicating that all the boxes will be completed as either valid or invalid. And the course ITSA was moved off of this spreadsheet. ITCA was moved off of the spreadsheet.
I second that motion.
Linda, do you want to amend something on the motion as presented? Linda Head.
I don't even know what
you wanted it to be sent out to the committee.
Yes. Oh, thank you. The final draft being sent to all committee members, and they have an opportunity to give comment if they see errors. I don't know.
Okay, and if the committee members comment subsequently to any errors seen in a corrected spreadsheet, any changes made based on those comments will have to be considered in open forum at the next meeting. They can't be amended behind the scenes.
Right.
Correct.
And do we have a full understanding of what is being corrected today? As I understand it, it is that all boxes, valid or invalid, will be checked. None will be left unchecked. And the ITCA rubric is off this list that's being voted on. And we add the provision that a final draft of the corrected list will be sent to committee. Is there anything else?
Yes, there is.
Please.
This is Robin Garrett. I think the committee, being as thorough as they were for the special topic, making that comment that says no in WECM brings confusion to the list. A special topic, while the course is listed in the WECM, it still has to be submitted. So that comment should not be on this spreadsheet because if it's approved, because it is very confusing for somebody to think, well, wait a minute, it's in the WECM. A special topic, yes, it's listed so that it can be utilized immediately, but that doesn't mean that that's the actual course in the WECM. So I think the comment needs to be removed from this spreadsheet when it comes to the special topics being approved to be used.
Okay, so, help me here. I think we're looking at like lines 48, 49, 50. And perhaps elsewhere, but I see 48, 49, 50 with no in WECM.
No, 49 is a local need, but let's see, 45, for instance, and then Anything, really anything that's a special topic, it says already in WECM. Yes, it is, but it's
It may
not
not
really.
be that title. It may not be that title. It
That's
just,
right.
they're just looking at the rubric, that the rubric is in WECM as a special topic, not the actual course.
Right. So we just need to get rid of those comments next to the special topic. We all know that the special topics exist already in the WECM, but the school is using this special topic and they have to submit that in order to be approved. So.
Okay, so remove these no in WECM comments
For anything
Or-
that's a special topic, correct?
for anything that's a special topic.
Actually, we really shouldn't even have, we should not even be approving special topics because we're approving them to go into WECM and we don't do that. The actual workshop and specialists do that.
And
So go ahead, Dwayne.
what we're approving is the actual topic itself, which is in the other document.
Yeah, basically that we're supposed to be looking at this from the perspective, as Dwayne mentioned, as to whether or not it's a valid course to be funded, not to go into the WECM, just preliminary, valid course to be utilized by that college. That's all we're supposed to be doing.
So if we could clarify this really quickly, we have a lot of members that now want to be able to take a break. So if we could get the motion restated and get a second and vote so that we can take at least a 6-minute break, it would be great. So Andrew, can you restate the motion?
I move that we approve the spreadsheet with the following corrections. All valid and non-valid boxes will be checked per each line, and the ITCA course will be removed from the spreadsheet. And after corrections are made, the spreadsheet will be sent to the members of this committee.
Joe.
Ma'am.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You were going to second.
I was stretching. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But yes, I will second his motion. I will be glad to do that.
Okay, it has been.
Okay, I have a question. What about the remove no in WECM? Is that part of the motion or not? Or is that?
Yes, thank you. We should remove any, under the reasons, comments, under the special topics courses, we should remove the no in WECM.
Okay, so four contingency items approved with these 4 corrections. Okay.
And my second still stands. Okay.
It has been moved that we approve the spreadsheet based on the contingency of corrections that have been listed. It's been seconded that we accept that motion.
Okay, and I'm going to interrupt. Point of order. We need.
No, I was just going to ask you if there are any point of discussion.
Well, I'm going to make a point of order. We need to see people's faces if the vote is going to take place per Open Meetings Act. We need to have screen share over and the committee visible. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other points of order and or discussion? Okay, with that, I'm going to call for a vote. For those who are all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any abstentions? Any nays? Motion carries. We got a 5-minute break. It is now 12:24. Let's be back at 12:30.
Hey, Joyce. I can now, yes. Let me make sure.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I know that was a quick 6 minutes, but we are reconvening at 12:30 p.m. and we are now on item. Oh, I'm sorry, Dwayne, do we have the CE? Special Topics and Local Needs Subcommittee,
Yes.
chaired by Vernon Hawkins.
Dwayne, we need the screen share off. We have meeting has ended up. The meeting has not ended. If anybody's watching, we need the screen share off. Thank you.
So Vernon and Dwayne. Special topics, we have none for CE and local needs.
You're muted. You're
Yeah.
muted, Vernon.
Yeah, I'm looking them up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting on them to come up on the screen, so.
Are we still waiting for the spreadsheet?
I think we are
Yes,
from Dwayne, but Vernon,
I
if
can-
you have
Yeah,
something.
I can go ahead and give my little comments. We basically, and as I said before, it's great to be reviewing these every quarter because it's not like a year ago when we had over 200 of these to review at one time. We had 38 to review, and these are basically, I believe they were from January to August. 38, and as I said earlier in my comments, the issue of special topic and local needs probably were about 10 different institutions that are always, it seems, the same institutions who submit special topic and local needs. I think it's a training issue for the non-credit membership around the state that they may not know when to use special topic and local need. We actually were going to have 3 sessions at our past conference on that, the one that was preempted because of COVID. We are hoping to get some of those in this week so that we can kind of expand the training on that. We basically I think we had all of these were very, very valid entries, and we advised that many of that I think all of them basically stay as local need or special topics. And our reasoning was that in many cases of local need, it was just one college who wants it. Although in some of these we thought, wow, this would be a great program. And in some cases we did recommend at some point a curriculum review in the comments. There were at least on 2 or 3 cases where we looked at it, and in the program area in WECM, there was no 7 to 40 hour kind of corporate course to be offered. And these are courses that seem to be 1, 2, or 3 day courses because they're very, very short. But in that particular area, there was no course that met that need. So we did make a recommendation, at least I think in 2 areas, that possibly maybe we looked to add a 70 to 40 hour course in that particular area. 24% of these changes were in the small unmanned aerial vehicle category, which led us to to basically, one of the comments we would make for this body is that we might need to look at the unmanned aerial, not only unmanned aerial vehicles, but unmanned vehicle rubric, maybe to do a curriculum committee at some point. It seems like that is an area and that is coming up across the state. But that was just some of the observations that I made as we went through this list. As I said, you can look at our comments. We thought they were all valid. We recommended there's a local need, state local need, and that's my comments.
I also see that this is a new rubric. There are several new rubrics that are listed here, Dwayne, as well, that needs to go through the protocol process.
Right. And yeah, these are all the highlighted courses.
Okay, so we would not necessarily be approving those as local needs.
Right.
Excuse me.
So like I did with the credit courses, we had split these out into 2 different spreadsheets. So if you want to consider them separately, we can, I guess, take them off this. So I've made a copy. And then we can just take them off of this spreadsheet, so we can just consider the existing rubrics first.
Sorry.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the courses that are not new rubrics that Vernon presented.
Okay. Okay, it has been moved. May I get a second, please?
A second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendations made by the committee with the exception of those that were new rubrics, which have to go through the protocol process for new rubrics.
By the
Are
way,
there-
this is Rhonda Dozier for the second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rhonda Dozier for the second, Andrew Gregory for the first. With that, are there any discussions? Hearing none, I will call for a vote.
Point of order, we need to see people's faces for the vote.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mindy. Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All of those who are in favor of the motion as presented, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any abstentions? Are there any nays? Okay, with that, motion carries for the recommendation for special topics from the subcommittee for continuing education courses. Moving on to agenda item 10, discussion and consideration of recommendations made by other subcommittees of the WECM Advisory Committee. Dwayne, were there other subcommittee reports that were presented?
No.
Members of the committee, were there other other reports that you wanted to report on that you did not have an opportunity to tell Dwayne? I thank the coordinating board and its staff for putting in a catch-all for times like these when there are opportunities that we may not get things in on time. Thank you, Mindy and your team. Okay, hearing none, we will go to agenda item number 11. Future agenda items and resources required for the next meeting. Dwayne? When is our next meeting scheduled? Do we have a scheduled?
Yeah, next meeting is December 9th.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
And Rhonda, let me ask you this question too, if I could. Regarding some changes proposed by the Sunset Review of Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, there's a number of items there that showed up and are in the process of getting looked at and possibly implemented. But the one that's sort of haunting me is there's a significant proposal of change again in the cosmetology and barbering area. In fact, Sunset is recommending that those two now separate programs be merged. Now, again, reading the topic here as future considerations, I'm not sure there's anything on the table right now. I've not heard of anything. I say, looking at the piece of the screen where Rhonda lives, where she may know more about it than I. But that's going to be one coming down the horizon. We just recently dealt with cosmetology changes. Well, it's going to come back again at some point. Just a heads up on that. Thank you.
Yeah, and Joe, I just, realized you missed, but we did talk about that at the last meeting, and we did show the proposals about combining the certification into one body for both programs. But yeah, we are still watching that to see if there are any, I guess, repercussions or effects on those programs. So yeah, we will keep it on the watch list.
And do I see our chair? Do I see Dr. Williams?
I think we might have lost her.
It appears to be so. Committee members, we're on item 11, future agenda items. Did you have a future agenda item?
I just heard from Joyce via text that she lost internet connection. She said, please
Okay.
take over.
Okay, so you're in charge.
Okay, I guess so. Yes. So we were on the timeline for future meeting dates. Is that where we were?
Yes.
Okay. Dwayne, do we have that scheduled, the next meeting date?
Yeah, our next meeting is on December 9th.
December 9th. Okay. And do we have any past that scheduled?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. All right, everybody get that on your calendars. Awesomeness. Anything else that needs to be added to? We already talked about the agenda for next time. Good. Okay. Well, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we adjourn.
And you are?
Dixon Bailey.
Thank you, sir.
Do I have a second?
This is second by James Chegwin. There you go.
Thank you, James. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you for a great meeting. It was good.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Dwayne, we need to stop the stream. when the meeting,
Okay.
with the meeting ended. Thank you all.
Mindy.